Oh, you have I don't even have notes. So, but this is the Culture Cast, and I am your host, Chris Stashew, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Mrs. Jess Byard, the award-winning screenwriter and Ohio resident.
An interrupter of podcasts.
Oh, you're not an interrupter. I mean, look, what we're going to be talking about is really, I was like, not that important, but what we're going to be talking about, according to Don Mancini, it's just a fucking cash-in. And it's a business decision, which...
I mean...
Is he
I
wrong?
don't disagree.
Yeah, I don't disagree either. So we're not talking about the original Child's Play. Sorry. We're talking about Child's Play 2019.
Andy, I know this move has been really tough, but this is supposed to be a new start for us, remember? You said you were going to try to make new friends.
Buddy can connect to and control all of your Caslin products and smart home devices. Introducing your new best friend.
Mom, I need to tell you something, and I need you to believe me. I think Chucky did something.
Andy, if you know something, you better tell me.
Something's wrong with Chucky.
Buddy can connect to and control all of your Caslin products.
Chucky is a toy.
He could be anywhere.
Welcome to Caslin Cars.
We have to stop him.
Good night, Andy.
Film is directed by Lars Klevberg. It is based on, and I say that very mildly, on Don Mancini's original Child's Play, which went on to spawn like 7 sequels of varying quality. Film stars constantly disinterested Aubrey Plaza, Gabriel Bateman, Brian Tyree Henry, who I totally thought was that friend from Get Out, but he's not. I thought he was little Ray Howery, like I really did, and I was like, but that's not the same guy.
Yeah, no. I mean, I see where you're coming from there, but like, especially with the glasses.
And then it's got Mark Hamill in it playing Chucky, which we'll get to it.
Well, voicing Chucky.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What, Buddy, who just happens to be named Chucky?
Buddy, I'm sorry.
But he calls himself
because
Chucky.
Because he mishears him?
Sure.
That's what that's what it's like, oh, did you say Chucky? And he's like, no, because he names him like some
He like names himself
reference.
Chucky.
Yeah, because Andy names him some stupid pop culture reference name. Oh, Han Solo.
Yeah.
He says, your name is Han Solo, because haha, Mark Hamill. And he says, did you say Chucky? Okay, Chucky. And then for just some reason, that's the name he picks.
Yeah, just, again, almost like this is a cheap cash-in. So, with that in mind, our setup out of the way, Jess, what did you think of Child's Play 2019?
Oh, man.
A real bummer, eh?
Yeah, I mean, so I went to see this at the movie theater, the early bird showing, so it was like 10:30 a.m., and tickets were $6, so that's why I went at that time. And I was the only one in the theater, which, fine, that's great. That's how I prefer to see movies in the theater anyway. And yeah, no, the whole time I was sitting there, I was just disinterested for a good majority of it. Overall, like the whole doll situation of the new Buddy doll, we'll get positives out of the way first since there's fewer of those. I like the way that the doll is moving. I do like that they had, the actual animatronic dolls. That is pretty refreshing to see. It's nice to know, that they went in that direction. And I guess I don't hate Mark Hamill. I just don't think like it being Mark Hamill adds anything to it so much. And I mean, like, he's doing well, obviously, because he's Mark Hamill, but I don't know. I think I expected something more. And maybe honestly what it is I just miss Brad Dourif, because I like Brad Dourif. He's great. And he is the voice of Chucky for me. And obviously, you know, when you watch movies like this, you're trying to separate them from the source material as much as possible. But in this case, I still have a preference, and I'm going to go with Brad Dourif over Mark Hamill. But no, I mean, this movie just, it's weird. Tonally, it's really strange. I don't think that it ever really decides what it wants to be. It hovers in this weird space of like PG-13 and R-rated, where it never fully commits to the R. Like, it never goes fully like hard R-rated horror movie. And a lot of that has to do with, I think, a lot of the humor that they try really hard to hammer in. And it does not work. And I think that the only reason that like the humor kind of works in the later Child's Play sequels in the original franchise is Brad Dourif and just his delivery and the way he is interacting with people, because at that point in time he's becoming more human than anything. And in this, it's just like, a weird Alexa version of Chucky is just kind of saying things in a weird doll-like voice, and it's supposed to be funny, and it doesn't really ever land for me.
So before I completely agree, which I'm going to, the thing you mentioned about the Alexa nonsense, God, it felt so ham-fisted.
It did, and I mean, it also never felt like they fully committed to that either. Like, there was like, okay, Chucky, the Buddy doll, and just to brief everybody if you have not seen it, it's not voodoo anymore. It's AI gone awry, and it's basically the movie starts out in this sort of, you know, slave labory shop of where they make these buddy dolls. Yeah, it's a sweatshop where these buddy dolls are made in Vietnam, and this guy is getting like reamed and saying, you know, like, you're getting fired, get the hell out of here, finish the stall, and then, you know, take your shit and go. And so he puts this little cartridge thing in the doll and kind of fucks it up, and then he kills himself. Okay. So then the doll is on the market, and Aubrey Plaza gets it in much the same way Catherine Hicks gets the doll in the original film. Basically, it's damaged, quote unquote, so she steals it from the store, basically, and takes it home to her kid, Andy, who in this movie is not 7 or 8. He's like 12.
A full-on teenager.
And also deaf, which we'll get to. That whole Caslin product, like, the whole idea is that Chucky can control any Caslin product in your house. So I guess in this universe, everyone has exclusively Caslin products, it seems. Because that's the only way this situation works, right? Like, if
convenient.
If you're trying to have it that Chucky is going to kill you with your household appliances, basically. Anything that is Caslin operated, Chucky can control, which is just dumb to begin with. But if he can control everything, then that really is only a threat to you if 90%, if a majority of your house is controlled by that. But if you're, like us, and you're poor and you can only afford like just one fancy technological piece, then maybe you just have Chucky and he can't control anything else. And given the situation with Aubrey Plaza and her kid, Andy, they don't, the whole thing is that she's a working mom. She works at Zedmart, the ham-fisted Walmart substitute. And, she's a working mom. She's a young mom. They're clearly not, super well-to-do. So they don't have a lot of Caslin products, but conveniently other people in the movie that need to die do. But like I said, I don't feel like they really even commit to that so much, because you do get some kills out of it, but they don't, I don't know, there's just really no payoff in them for me.
Well, and the thing is, my feelings on the movie are very similar to yours in that there is a inkling of a good idea here, and it's almost like there was a movie that was made called Child's Play at one point that was a good movie. Mm-hmm. And
hey, I mean, that movie has plenty of faults. It's a movie about a voodoo, a white dude performing
with
voodoo
voodoo,
to
yeah.
get himself put in a doll, and then has to get the soul of a boy. Yeah, it has
Kevin
its own
Spacey,
problems,
Kevin Spacey-esque soul of a boy to regenerate himself. It's very weird.
But you know what? At least in the original movie, the characters I care about. I like them. And I think that part of the reason that the deaths don't pay off for me is that all of the side characters are super generic and one-dimensional and honestly annoying. Almost everyone in this movie is unlikable. And for a movie that is supposed to be, I think, you know, it has themes of friendship, and the whole thing is that Andy can't make friends, or it's hard for him to make friends, I guess, because he's deaf, even though they really never go into that other than showing you that he has a hearing aid once or twice. They don't do anything with that. And I honestly thought that was going to be a Caslin product, and that was going to be a fucked up scene, but that never happened either. But it's all of these side characters are terrible. Aubrey Plaza's barely there. She has hardly anything to do in this movie, and she's not my favorite to begin with. I don't find her particularly excitable. Yeah.
She's perpetually disinterested.
And
which is cool. It can work, but
in certain contexts and in small doses, but not to carry like a whole movie. And she, like I said, she's really not giving a whole lot to do in this movie. And then she's got her douchebag boyfriend that we see a few times, who we only get we only find out he's married right at the moment it's convenient for him to die. So that's not even a thing that they choose to introduce for some reason. And then there's the kids. Like, Andy's okay. He's not a terrible kid, but every other kid in this movie is a dick. And they only show up, he gets Chucky, and Chucky's out in the hallway, and he realizes, he can teach him to, do things that are... He's not like all the other dolls. He does other things, which, hey, red flag, Andy. That should be...
Oh, right.
But
totally.
But and then all of a sudden these kids appear, Fallon and Puck appear, and they're like, oh, wow, your doll swears. That's fucking cool. Okay, we're friends now, but we're the type of friends that just shit on each other all the time and don't actually, have real relationships. And that's the whole movie. And even, fast forwarding through all of this, we all, eventually know what's going to happen after all of it. The kids that he ends up being friends with are still dicks. Because later on in the movie, when he thinks he's gotten rid of Chucky, and it's just the other kid that gets him for a while, Omar, and he names Chucky Chode, which super edgy screenwriting, everyone. And it's just all of these. So the moral of the story is okay, here's your killer doll, we get rid of that, and now I'm going to be friends with these terrible kids that live in my building. I'm like, that's not Andy overcoming anything. That's just kind of a situational friendship, which, fine, but I don't know what your point is, movie. I don't...
Well, that's the thing, is like you said, it feels very much like, we need to go through beat A, B, C, and D. Okay. There you go. And it's just following the beats for following the beats' sakes. And it's not doing anything particularly interesting. I mean, look, there's a reason it is a sticking point for me about how much I really don't like Aubrey Plaza. There's a reason Aubrey Plaza was cast as fucking Grumpy Cat, where she's the voice of Grumpy Cat, because she is what I would assume to be Grumpy Cat is in real life. She is so disinteresting and so boring as a lead that... And look, Gabriel Bateman as Andy is not much better. And in the original movie, you have the interplay between Andy and his mom, and that is what makes up a large portion of the original film, and that's what makes the original film so good, is like you said... Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent in the original film make such an interesting duo. And in this film, it's like a mom who gives no shits and a son who is just a little asshole.
It's that case because Catherine Hicks, is, known for what she's said before, that when she first did this movie, she was signed on to this movie, she was wary of it because she really, she didn't have kids, she didn't know how to interact with kids, she wasn't really, interested in kids at the time, just in a, motherly way. She just didn't have that going on in her life. And so they spent time together outside of the making of the movie and all that, and to sort of gain an actual trusting relationship. And that comes through on the screen. Like, you really feel that relationship between them, that is a mom. And, you feel bad when Catherine Hicks's friend dies in the first movie because she's a legitimately nice person. Yeah, like, she's a little bit annoying, but she's just she's a nice friend to Catherine Hicks. And she gets murdered by this doll, and it sucks. It's an actual character that gets killed. But everybody else unlike in this movie, everybody who gets killed in this movie, aside from the random DEA agent for no reason, mom, gets killed. And that sucks because she's a nice older lady, but we don't really know anything about her other than that. Like, we don't get any time spent with her. And the only time we get to spend with her is for a ridiculous subplot that is so stupid.
You're My Best Friend Now, Andy. Oh, dear movie. Really?
Yeah. Oh, this is the end. They threw in that.
So, let's talk about something real quick, because I'm curious. So, there's been, 7 Chucky movies now? Going as far back as to Cult of Chucky, which came out 2 years ago. Cult of Chucky is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I like Cult of Chucky.
I
like Curse of Chucky.
Yeah, and it ties back into the original films in a fun way. Mm-hmm. And that's what these reboots, because everyone was like, oh, Curse of Chucky is a reboot, and that turns out it's actually just
canon. Yeah, canon.
It's a sequel. It's a sequel. It is a sequel. It's kind of like Glass. You don't realize what it is until the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. Which is, again, it's a lot of fun, and that's what I liked about the Chucky movies, is because they go from Child's Play 1 and 2 and 3 to then, Bride of Chucky, which is a...
Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky are fucking weird.
I like Bride of Chucky.
But yeah, Bride of Chucky is great because it's Ronnie Yu. Ronnie Yu is a fantastic Hong Kong director. Jason versus Freddy, or Freddy versus Jason, maybe not so much, but Bride of Chucky is fun, and it's subversive, and it's kind of like Scream for Child's Play. Yeah. It subverts it subverts more that franchise than the genre as a whole, but at the same time, you have this, which is just paint by numbers, and it's so bizarre because, look, like I mentioned at the beginning, Don Mancini has effectively distanced himself from this. He said, I have no interest in doing this. That's maybe because Don Mancini had, Cult of Chucky, which set up further Chucky films that he was going to make. And then Orion and Universal and United Artists said, you know what, fuck you. We're going to make our own reboot movie that...
Of your property.
And instead of it being successful, it's, not shocking.
Right.
And it doesn't do anything particularly interesting with the franchise, not the genre, but the franchise, because this is kind of a genre into itself of killer dolls. I mean, and it's so much so that people don't even know what the actual title of the movie is. If you ask someone what the movie with the killer doll is, you know what they say? Oh, that's Chucky. Well, no, it's Child's Play. But everybody knows it as Chucky, so it's just kind of... now it's Chucky.
Right. Well, like Jason and Freddy and Michael. Everybody knows them. They're iconic. But
Chucky is iconic. And it's, like you said, it's unfortunate that Mark Hamill is involved with this movie because they gave him nothing to do. They gave him no box to step outside of. He is in a very tightly constructed box that they're like, you can't do the Brad Dourif thing, and because everybody knows that you're the voice of the Joker, you can't do the Joker maniacal thing, so do this really watered down mix of the two that doesn't work either way.
There's no personality to this Chucky. That's why the other Chucky is iconic. Like, whether or not you like those movies or whatever, the reason people know who Chucky is, just people who've never even seen it, they just recognize him at look, is because of the personality that Brad Dourif built behind him and Don Mancini built behind him by writing an, interesting character. The writing here is just not interesting. All of these people are just existing to die, and Chucky's not interesting. He doesn't have a personality because he's a robot. And he's not even really a robot. So he's supposed to be a robot that has empathy, or at least that can feel, not necessarily have empathy, but can process feelings, I guess, and he learns by like watching what makes people happy, like what his, people around him make happy, make them happy, and he tries to emulate that and do more things because he exists to serve, basically. And there's no personality behind that. And even when he starts to go bad, like once he actually starts to go bad, which is a little pretty on in the movie.
Like halfway into the fucking movie.
And even still, once that happened, he doesn't even morph into something else. He's not like morphing into this more a different, his own doll or whatever. He's just morphing, he's just killing people. And that's it. And it's not, it's weird that at one point in the movie they try to sort of make you feel bad for Chucky, like when the kids tackle him and they initially like put him out of the commission the first time. And so I guess we're
like, what's the point here? And in the first movie, Chucky, one of his lines is when Catherine Hicks is like trying to wake him up. He goes like, "Listen here, you fucking bitch! Like, you stupid slut!" Yeah. Like, where is that in this movie?
Yeah. Like, there is none of that.
I want Chucky with personality, and you have Mark Hamill. If you want Chucky with no personality, then don't cast undoubtedly one of the best voice actors of like the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, his work on Batman the Animated Series as the Joker is so iconic that they bring him back a lot of the times. If Kevin Conroy is doing the voice of Batman, they're like, can we get Mark Hamill to do the voice of the Joker? Because those two are like peanut butter and jelly, and they need to be together. And he's so iconic as the Joker that when people are like, who are the best Jokers, his name should come up more in conversation. And it's not fucking Heath Ledger, so get the fuck out of here. It's Jack Nicholson. But his name should be in that conversation. And like you said, with no personality, it's like, I am Mark Hamill. I am a robot, Chucky. And it's like, great, cool. I don't care.
Cool. And so I feel like we have to mention, at least I have to mention, the two worst subplots in this movie.
Oh, God, and the one where he kills a cat?
No, well, that's just a moment in the movie that I think, sorry, guys, it's 2019. If you're still, like, killing the family pet to try and get quote-unquote scares out of your audience, you are fucking lazy and you lost points.
Edgelords. They're so edge. How edge are we? Let's have him kill the cat.
And name the doll Chode. Like, yeah, okay.
What's up, my guys? My name's Tyler Burton Smith, and you know what? I'm fucking edge. You guys like Chode? You guys down with Chode? Yeah, nah, dog, we're good. I'm good without Chode. Frankly, I'm good without cats getting murdered as well.
But no, the two subplots I speak of are the so Chucky, after having watched Andy and his friends watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2,
an actually good movie.
They watched that movie one night when they're all hanging out and being pals, and he sees them interacting and being happy and laughing, and he associates the movie and the violence in the movie with what's making them happy, which I have problems with big time, because I realize that you just wanted to show Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 in your movie because you wanted your reference. But you're also saying, like, hey, here's Chucky. He became violent in part because of the violent movies. Ba-ba! Like, that doesn't sit well with me.
Can we talk about something, though? They actually missed a really great opportunity here, okay? And this is something that they really missed it. So you have Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. In my mind, the superior Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love that movie. I'm sure you love it as well. Maybe it's not in your mind better than the first one, but for me, it has more charm. The first one is just, well, every time I watch it, I want to take a shower, which is obviously the point.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is more fun to watch.
Yeah. It's maybe not a great movie because it's not. It honestly drags a lot. But the thing that they missed in this movie is if they have that inkling of an idea where it's like they were watching a movie and he goes and emulates Leatherface. Why didn't they just have Chucky watching horror movies in a room and
yeah, that'd be great.
emulating other horror movies, because goddamn, that would have been amazing. You could have had this sending up the genre,
because then you would have had to pay all those people for those rights.
but what you didn't have to. Well, I'm saying you don't necessarily have to show it, but also,
But you mean like kills? Like maybe you could do copycat kills?
yeah, copycat kills. But look, I mean, this film is Orion Pictures and United Artists, so I mean,
yeah, they own a lot of that shit.
Yeah, they have a lot of it. So I mean, yeah, I know the first Child's Play is Universal, so and this one's not, but and obviously they have more than Orion and United Artists. But at the same time, if you're going to even touch upon that, wouldn't that be kind of cool? Like, oh shit, he's emulating killers from the movies. And no, he's just going to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 skin face thing. And
that's the subplot that I was getting to, because there's that whole thing is that he murders Jeff, I believe his name is, Aubrey Plaza's nothing boyfriend, and brings his face to him brings his face to Andy in like some, I don't know what exactly it's stitched onto, but it's his face, and how Andy decides to handle it is A, call his friends, B, show his friends this now murdered man's face.
Actual human skin.
Actual human skin. And they have like a what I suppose is supposed to be a comedic moment of the one kid throwing up and screaming why and whatever. And then they all decide to wrap it up in Christmas paper or birthday present paper.
Wrapping paper? We're really, we're like dancing around the idea here of what this is. People know what we're talking about.
Yes. Wraps this head in as a present, basically. Tries to throw it out, gets caught by the cop neighbor's mom, gets caught by his mom, makes up some bullshit story, and now this head is in the possession of this old woman that he now has to get it back from. And so we spend a good 20 minutes on this nonsense.
As opposed to them just sticking it in a bag and throwing it away.
Right. Which is what you should have done.
Which,
you
by the way,
called anybody. You should have thrown it away.
But that leads to that other subplot that you already mentioned, where the cop Mike, who again another character from the original film, whose name is essentially just used, but nothing similar is done to his character. Yeah. His mom says the whole "You're my best friend, Andy," and that is what ties into that shitty subplot with the creepy service guy, which is like
that's the other one,
spying on Aubrey Plaza in the shower, which, by the way, dude, there are videos of her online flicking her own beans. So why are you doing that? She already released them herself. Maybe not in this universe, but in our universe that already exists. So it felt because that happened in real life and her name was involved in the fappening thing that happened a couple years ago. It feels a little kind of.
Well, it's so pointless, because in the trailers it makes it look like he maybe is the one who's tampering with Chucky to begin with, but he's not. He comes in he's there on the outskirts throughout the movie, but he actually comes in as a half-assed character, towards almost into the last, third of the movie, and he is just there to tamper with Chucky, the kids at this point have dismantled Chucky, so he brings him back to sell on eBay. Was that what?
Yes. Even though they say that those dolls are effectively worthless.
Yeah, because the new one's coming out. Nobody wants this one. It's 2019, presumably, and he's getting dolls out of the trash, old dolls out of the trash to sell on eBay. Nobody sells that. It's just so weird and outdated. It doesn't feel. There's no reason for this character to exist aside to just be another person that dies. Because he's there, he brings the doll back to life, I guess, and then he gets distracted by his videos because Aubrey Plaza is getting out of the shower, and then he gets killed. And that's it. There's no reason for him to be there. He's not he doesn't do anything to the doll to make it evil. He doesn't do anything to anybody aside from the fact that he's a perv and creeping.
Which, again, it has that whole, oh, by the way, we're going to have nudity in this movie, but not really. Which, again, why even look? Aubrey Plaza's been naked in other movies. I don't understand the point of any of the teasing of any of that because it's unnecessary.
Well, that's like, and that goes back to what I was saying. This movie does not commit to being like an R-rated movie.
Just have Aubrey Plaza naked for real. Like, I didn't want to see it any more than a lot of people probably did, but like you said, commit or don't even have it.
You're making an R-rated horror movie. I'm not saying that you need to we need gratuitous nudity. But none of these characters do anything. We don't get to spend any time with them. And if we had, maybe a scene... the relationship between Aubrey Plaza and the boyfriend is almost non-existent, aside from the fact that they exist in scenes together.
Right.
If we had some, another scene where, they're having some intense conversation and then maybe something happens and the janitor's watching that. That would be a moment of development. That would be something that I could understand her. I feel bad for her for, something, but just...
Or they're having sex, and Chucky is watching them, and he calls her his wife's name.
Right.
Because that's a fucking subplot in this movie, that her boyfriend is... Yeah, and her boyfriend is a philanderer.
But we only know that right at the moment he's about to get killed.
Convenient.
Because we only see him, coming and going from her apartment, and then finally he goes to his actual house, and it's like, oh, he has a family.
And how many more times in movies do we need to see someone putting their wedding ring back on for us to understand that the house they're walking into is their... God. It's like like you said, they almost went to the well of tropes. Old tropes. So old, in fact, that they're outdated. Even outdated by Child's Play, the original film standards.
Right. And honestly, I wish, as goofy as the voodoo stuff is in the Child's Play, in the, original Child's Play universe, I like it. It's much more interesting than AI Gone Awry. I mean, we've been doing AI Gone Awry since the 60s and 70s. And
isn't this just the Terminator?
Now that it's 2019 and everything is so, on the nose with shit like Alexa, it's boring now. It's really boring.
Hey, she's always listening. Right. And here's the thing, this should just be called Little Terminator, because that's all this is. It's just Terminator, and then at the end it goes full Terminator. You've got the drones flying around.
Because he's not evil. He's not bad.
No, he's just programmed wrong. It's small. I mean, it's almost kind of like... It's, you know what this movie actually is? It's just an R-rated version of Small Soldiers.
Yeah, that's fair, but Small Soldiers is a little bit scarier, though.
Right, I mean, there's a point in that movie where a toy gets jammed into a garbage disposal and is spinning around.
That movie's pretty fucking scary for a kid.
And it's Joe Dante. And Joe Dante's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You got Joe Dante. And that movie actually is fun. I actually just thinking about it, I'm like,
watch Small Soldiers instead.
but that's what this is. It has a lot of that same technology that totally isn't bad, gone bad by accident. Small Soldiers, it has there's a thing to it, but this is just one asshole sabotaging.
Well, and here's that you bring up a good point. One asshole sabotaged this one doll, except for the fact that at the end of this movie, it of course has to set up a sequel, and so another doll in a different packaging smiles.
Why?
And why? Because we only saw him tamper with one doll, and he only had reason to tamper with that one doll because it was in the setting of him being fired and thrown out, and obviously, he's working.
Don't you understand that more people are like that?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. That's the point, Jess. There's more people like that, okay? Clearly, in the Child's Play 2019 universe, they're so smart that they're just this is clearly happening everywhere. You're right. This is fucking dumb.
But I don't know that. There's no reason that doll...
Exactly.
The only reason that Chucky can keep going on in the original franchise is because of the voodoo thing. That's the only reason that it keeps going. And
it is his soul trapped in the doll.
You could keep the AI going if you made it some computer virus, whatever, that spread into a whole bunch of dolls and infected them throughout the country. That I could buy.
You're welcome, guys. Jess just wrote your movie for you. You just wrote a better version of this movie, right? It's like a hacker just hacks one of the dolls with
and corrupts
a virus.
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
And randomly, too. Not I'm going to corrupt, every doll in the country. No, you're just randomly so that they're committing these horrible crimes, but just you can't get a pinpoint on it after a while. But it's this movie is just a bunch of missed opportunities, and it does feel like a cash-in. And I do wish that they would have given Mark Hamill much more to do, because like this movie could have been any doll movie. It didn't have to be a Chucky movie.
It almost feels like one of those Asylum movies where it's totally not Chucky, but they're trying to do like kids play. Wow,
Right.
your grandma bought you this DVD by accident because she thought you asked for child's play and she bought you kids play instead. Like, snakes on a plane? You mean snakes on a train?
Yeah.
And the other thing about this movie that we haven't talked about that I feel like we should touch on, Chucky dolls that look like bears.
Oh, that's right. We have not
God.
touched upon the entire climax of this movie, which, a sidebar, it's interesting that the friends at the beginning of this movie who meet him in a hallway and see that his doll is randomly talking and being very strange immediately decide to be friends with him and believe his story and believe this doll. But the second time it goes bad, they have a hard time believing him and give him shit about it.
They're like, oh, wait, no, it was Andy who was killing people. Like,
Right. And
really?
it's like, no, what? No, that's bullshit. And you know that's bullshit. And we have no reason to believe that you actually think this way.
There's like
But
a very
yes,
thin line between the doll cursing and the doll just being like, I'm just going to go kill people. Like, the line I don't feel like is very... I feel like that's a pretty
No.
narrow line.
As long as it takes to get to bad Chucky, it doesn't really, it also feels kind of rushed, because you don't really see, him killing the cat, I suppose, is supposed to be the, like, point of no return, like, you killed a living being, so I guess that's now it. But, no. But yes, the climax at the end, where Chucky is in the Zed Mart, all of the characters are now here. And there are a variety of Buddy dolls. There are the new upcoming Buddy 2 dolls, but there are also ones that I guess are probably Buddy Bears.
Which, by the way, the best thing in the entire movie. I loved it. I loved that design. I thought it was Teddy Ruxpin gone. Right. Teddy Ruxpin on coke. It's
like, honestly,
horrifying.
I would have rather that been the movie.
Right? Child's play, but with a bear now. Like, fuck yeah, I'm down for this shit. That's creepy. That is just creepy on its own.
Yeah, just like a little walking scary bear, like that's fine.
Scary Barry?
It's just, so all of these dolls go awry?
And the drones?
And how do we do, because Chucky is controlling them with Caslin products. That's how all of these ones go awry. That explains that.
The scary berries?
Yeah. Scary
also,
berry buddy bears.
also, by the way, let's point out that they try to do a Leprechaun reference in this movie as well.
Great. Not the movie you want to reference, guys.
I mean, I like the original Leprechaun in like
Fair,
I hate myself kind of way. And I've only ever seen it when I'm like stoned out of my mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Leprechaun, really? Why? At least it wasn't Leprechaun in the Hood.
That's true.
Or Leprechaun in space.
So at this point, Chucky's controlling Caslin products, which in this universe they have working like self-driving cars are very common, evidently.
Well, it's like Uber.
Like, yes,
Uber is Caslin.
Right. If
or
it
Tesla.
didn't crash all the time.
Right.
Like, if it actually worked, these people actually frequently use this service of self-driving Caslin cars. So he controls the car to kill the old lady, and then they're in the store, and he's controlling everything in there. And that's fair. I get that. But if this Chucky is dead, then he's not controlling other dolls. Because I could see that. Like, if Chucky is a Caslin product, can he then control other Chuckies?
I mean, he does.
I mean, yes, because he does in the thing. So he could then have a Chucky army.
But is that an interesting movie, though?
No, it's not. I don't think so.
And by the way, I'd like to point something out. Tyler Burton Smith, who's totally not listening to this podcast, but I would like to point out, if you've ever actually used a drone before, you would know that drones aren't made out of metal when it comes to their propellers. And if you ran a drone into someone, it would break the drone, not kill them. The drone's propellers would not cut someone's neck open.
No. Well, and also, it didn't kill him, though, did it?
Yeah, oh yeah, right, because one character dies from it and then another one doesn't, so...
Right. But they really want to try and hammer in that fake out death because you're supposed to care about this character, and no, and and this is an example of my just confusion on what tone you want here. is this cop supposedly dies. He gets, chopped in the neck, and he falls down on his knees all dramatically and looks at one of the kids and tells him to run, and then falls over, presumably dead. He's not. He comes back at the end. But the kid runs away, and after this sort of dramatic, like, wow, he's dead, like, that guy died. The second he runs around the corner, he, like, runs into something that scares him, and he screams, like, in a comedic, high-pitched sort of way. And it's just like, what? I don't know how you want me to feel about anything in this movie. Like, I just...
No,
you're not giving me time with anything.
No, it's the end of the film. The climax is very rushed. It's very unnecessary. It's just like, oh, let's just throw everything at the screen now. So now we got drones and Buddy Bear, creepy demon things that will haunt me in my sleep at night. I mean, it's got it is really this. I mean, there's like so much shit that they rip off. They rip off Saw at one point because I guess the janitor of the building lives in essentially a saw trap waiting to be made. Yeah. And yeah, the end of the film is just like dorky. It's dorky and dumb, and then like, this is the end, friend. Like, oh man, get it? Because this is a Child's Play movie. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And they shoot the doll. The doll gets shot and kills it.
Which, I mean, that's fine because it's just an AI gone wrong.
Right, exactly.
You don't have any threat that it should be coming back because it's one doll with one tampering.
Right, which is lame because, like you've said, the reason the original is so good is because you could shoot Chucky and it would do nothing.
Right, like it kills him.
You could burn Chucky. You could burn Chucky and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, dismantle, melt, like all of it. It's all been done and it comes back. And yeah, like you have to suspend some belief there because it's voodoo and magic and whatever. And I'm sure it's very, bastardized voodoo and magic. But
you mean in voodoo you can't be put into a doll?
It is something, at the time original that they attempted to do. This is just AI gone wrong. That's a story we've seen all the time. Let's do the exact same thing, but this time we're going to do it with Chucky.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that this movie looks nice. The lighting was really nice. The color scheme's really good. I did enjoy that. It's a super rich movie to watch. But other than that, that's it. And that is not enough to hold my interest. Now, granted, it's only like 83 minutes or something like that, which is nice.
Well, and the director of photography, Brendan Ugama, I mean, he's worked on a lot of like indie films. So it's, it's not outside of the question that the film looks nice. I mean, that's fair. But at the same time...
But that's so easy these days. It seems like that is like every indie movie pretty much looks super nice now. And not that this movie was an indie movie by any means, but... I
mean, it's a $10 million budget, so...
I guess.
But, like, get me a red and some neon lights, and we're good. Like, I'll make your movie look nice. Like, it's not... Like you said, it's not hard anymore.
Right. And especially, like, that is a color scheme, like you said, like, some neon lights and a red. Like, that is a general color scheme for a lot of things. And it happens to be one that I like, so I don't mind it. But... it's not gonna save your movie.
What's the saddest thing is the advertising campaign for this movie was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, it was.
With all like the Chucky killing the characters from Toy Story, like that's actually pretty clever.
But we don't get any of that. Like there's more personality in those marketing campaigns than there is in this doll in the entire movie.
Right, which is really sad. Yeah, and again, like you said, a wasted potential. So what would you give the film out of 5?
I believe on Letterboxd I gave it a 2 out of 5.
On Letterboxd. Whoa.
Well, I can't remember exactly what I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 right now. Let's see if I actually did it there because I have to be, cohesive.
You don't have to be consistent. This is a podcast. I'd like to point out we are in way, shape, or form affiliated with Letterboxd. No,
we're not. Aside from that, I use them, but yeah, no, I'm giving it a 2.5 stars. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, giving it a 2 star out of 5 because, it's a competently made movie, I guess.
And that's it.
And that's unfortunately a trend, but
yeah, it's a 2 out of 5 for me as well. It's a 2 because it, like you said, it has everything that a competent film needs. But it lacks the soul of the original.
Without being creative.
Yeah, it lacks the soul of the original film, which, but at the same time, it's totally the truth. If you had had Mark Hamill in a film that really punched it up and went for it, that'd be awesome. And you know what, by the way, Brad Dourif being in this movie would not have saved it.
No. But I think it would have at least given, like, it would have at least made me happy to hear him.
I think it would have bummed you out more than anything else. I think you would have been like, what a waste of Brad. We would, instead of saying what a waste of Mark Hamill, we'd be saying, what a waste of Brad Dourif.
The script would not work. Yeah, exactly. The script would not have worked for him at all. I mean, like, it's so, there's like barely any swearing in this movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which is
from the doll.
Yeah. Why is this movie rated R? Oh, because there's one. Well, here's the thing.
Because there's a face. Attached.
I was trying to find out why this movie was rated R, and I actually. Funny story, I went and saw, I mean, you know this, but I went and saw Annabelle Comes Home. Same question. Why is this movie rated R? Because they don't have any F words, there's no cursing, there's no blood, and there's no nudity. So why is this movie rated R? Because
they're trying to kill that franchise.
Hey, you know what? That movie was if we're talking Annabelle Comes Home, I'd give that movie like a 3.5 out of 5. Because that movie was actually good. In ways that I was not expecting. This movie is bad in about every way I was expecting it to be bad.
Right. Which is unfortunate. And I mean, I did have moderate hopes for it. I didn't hope to hate it. And I guess I don't hate it because, like I said, competently made. And there's nothing in it that specifically would skew me in a really angry way towards it. But it's like, yeah, missed opportunities.
Yeah. And again, I think that's the worst thing you can say about it is just, I don't dislike it and I don't like it. It's just, eh. And
exists.
And being lukewarm about stuff is worse than hating or loving it for me. Because it's like, I don't even care.
Right.
Fuck it. So, well, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Culture Cast.
On this picturesque block, in this manicured home, something evil, something terrifying, something horrifying is haunting Rhino. His mother.
I thought I told you to spray this house. The place is infested with vermin.
Although she was a little strict.
Look at this dust. It's an inch thick.
He never wished her any harm.
You look after me like...
Until...
Your mother's dead, Lionel.
Now, whatever Mom's got...
Who's your mother?
...has caught on with the neighbors.
She's been bitten! You know what that means?
You can pray.
I kick ass for the Lord.
You can plead. You can beg for mercy.
Help! Someone! Please!
But nothing you can do will stop it.
There's thousands of them!
Because how do you kill something that's already dead? Trimark Pictures presents a modern masterpiece of horror.
Your mother ate my dog!
Dead Alive.
Party's over.
That's right. On the next Culture Cast, we're going to be talking about Brain Damage, a film that I've never seen, but comes highly recommended by you, Jess.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It is super fucking weird.
Well, fun. And it is a body horror movie, so we're going to be obviously talking body horror this month. This was a little bit of a respite from body horror. So until then, where can people find you, Jess?
You can find me on Twitter at writer Jess Byard, and you can find me on Instagram at the same handle. That's about it.
And you can find me on Twitter at casualty_Chris. I have an Instagram, but I'm not going to tell anyone what it is. I don't care. I actually don't know what it is, so I'll find out and come back later. I don't know what it is. I just know that I have it on my phone and I use it. I sound like such a dad saying that. Jesus Christ. I have a Facebook, but I don't know how to use it. You can find me on a couple other podcasts. Twilight Zone 1985, where we talk about the Twilight Zone 1985, rather self-explanatory. Chronicles from the Crypt, where we talk about Tales from the Crypt, and the Kolchak tapes, where I talk about Kolchak the Night Stalker. Big thanks, as always, to _91 for the intro outro music for the Culture Cast, and we'll catch you in the next episode.